What up guys, today we will be talking about how to build a setup in iRacing. As you can see, we will be doing this video in Spa, and we'll start with the basics and get to the more difficult stuff at the end. So we will start off with clicking on Garage. Then I always, especially for Spa, I'm gonna go on official setups and load the medium downforce sprint. We will start with the first page, tires and aero. Tire type, dry, makes sense. Then the starting pressure. You need to keep it in iRacing always on the lowest. So 159 kPa. Because if you go higher, the tires won't be as good as they are now with 159, and the tires are more likely to overheat. Then the aero balance calculator, just a normal calculator. This one won't do anything. The rear wing you can either change it here or down here at chassis. And that's pretty much it from the first side. Let's move on to the chassis. And right here we will start with the ARP blades. And always remember, the ARP blades are only for low speed behavior. So if you do it like this, you have one, so the softest, which means more oversteer. And on the rear ARP blades, you will go to 5. Then you will have a quite oversteery car in low speed corners. And as you can see here, I've loaded the normal setup, and the ARP blades front are on 3 and in the rear on 2, which means the car will understeer because the front has a higher value than the rear. And obviously the other way around. So if the rear ARP is higher than the front, then you will have oversteer. And if the circuit has more low speed, so like turn 1 in Spa, where you go down to 60 or 70 kph, then you want to run lower ARPs on both. And obviously then the other way around, if you have more high speed but also slow corners, so which are like 120 kph, then you want to run higher values, so like 5 and 4. So let's move on to the in-car adjustments. So the brake bias are more a person-to-person thing. So if you want to run a more oversteer on a braking setup, then you want to run lower, so you have more brake pressure on the rear. And if you want to understeer it a bit more, then you go up, so the front is more braking than the rear. Then the ABS, you want to run it quite low in iRacing because it's faster if you don't really go into the ABS that much. The same for the TC. Then the TC setting, you always want to run it quite low. So one is TC off, which is pretty fast for the Ford Mustang. But like for endurance races, you can also choose TC1, which means you have a bit of TC. But in most races, I only use 1, so no TC. The throttle shape setting, I'm always leaving on the one that is in here. Then you can see right here, there's a setting, center front splitter height. This you can only change with the rider height, front and rear. So you always want to run this on the minimum. You need to look out what will be the first one on the minimum. So it can either be the right height or the center front splitter. On Spa, I know it's only the center front splitter, which goes down the fastest. So now it's like the minimum. I've only changed the front right height, to 52.6 millimeters, both. Because if you go down one more on both, then you can see there is an error, so you can't run it too low. 50 millimeters are the minimum. And on the right side rear, you can also change it a bit. You can go a bit lower, but be careful because the toe in will change automatically if you change the ride height. You can see it's on 1.4 millimeters now, so you just have to click one more up, then it's all fine. Then you can go more down if you want, and then you can obviously go down more on the front ride height. Then we move on to the next one, which is the toe in on the rear only. You have to run it on the minimum, so plus 1.5 millimeters, because one lower is too low, and this one is like a meta in iRacing. You don't really want to change it. And the same goes for the front camber, so always leave it on minus 4.0 degrees. On every track, not only on Spa, on every track. And the camber on the rear, you can change it a bit, but not too much. And if you run higher values, so in this direction, you produce more grip in high speed. And if you run it lower, like this, for example, which is a bit too low, okay, never mind. Then let's do 3.5 degrees. You have more grip on lower speed. So if you feel like the car is too oversteery in Pujon or in Blanchiment, but in low speed corners it's alright, then you just do like 2 clicks or something, whatever is best for you. And then you should have way more grip in high speed. So then we're gonna do the brake pads. I always leave it on medium friction, but I will be explaining it to you. There is an option for low friction, medium friction, and high friction. So the high friction option gives you more braking input for the less you actually press in the pedal, and low friction is obviously then the other way around. So then we will be quickly doing the rear wing angle. I have it on 6, it's standard. But if you go lower, then you have obviously less grip in high speed. And if you go higher, so on like 7 or something, you will be having more grip, which means you're automatically understeering, and you don't really want it. Because if you want to be fast, you need to drive an oversteer setup. But don't go too low on it. So like on Spa, I wouldn't recommend to drive 2 degree. Something like 4 degree or 5 degrees better. Yeah, then there is the differential. On the gear stack you have 2 options, FIA and Le Mans and Daytona. Le Mans and Daytona you have a bit longer gears. So on Le Mans I would really recommend it, but on Spa, I mean, you can run it, but I'm always driving the FIA. Then friction phases, you can move it a little bit around. Like for example here, you have 8, which is standard. You can go to 10, but I wouldn't do so much with it because it's more the same than differential preload. Differential preload, if you go like on higher values, like 125 Newton meters, you will have understeer off throttle, so on the braking. But for that you will have more rotation, but also less traction on the exits. But this can be very useful. For example, in Puron, if you understeer a lot in Puron, then you want to run it a bit higher. So just understeering on the braking. And on the exit, you will have perfect rotation. 125 Newton meter is a bit too high, but like 100 Newton meter should do it. So let's move on to spring rate. It's on 180 on the front and on 210 in the back. If the rear spring rate is higher than the front, as it is right here, you will have more traction. And if you feel like the car is understeering a lot, then you just change it around. So you will run like 180 in the rear and 210 in the front. But you need to watch out because it's changing the other things a bit. So the camber back to minus 4.0. Rear camber is right, and the ride height is also good. You can do it a bit lower, like this. You can see now it's on a minimum here, which means you can't go lower. So now you will have more rotation, so also less traction. But only do this if you understeer a lot. If not, just do it the other way around as it was before. So 180 in the front and 210 in the rear. For example, not on every track, it's the same. Yeah, and always have it quite close together. So like, don't run 135 in the rear and 210 in the front. Don't do that. So then we'll move on to the last one on the chassis, which is the bump rubber gap. Right here I have a photo for you. As you can see right here, it's spring, and the orange one here is the bump rubber gap. This one is quite high, so the car can travel, or the spring can travel a lot more than on this one. This one you can see it's tiny, and this one is big. This one can travel way less, this one can travel more. And if you run high numbers like 75, which is the highest you can go on both fronts, and on the rears 45. Okay, maybe not do it like this, but like 30 on the front and 45 on the rear. And I will show you an example in the Rouge what will happen. So as you can see here in a Rouge, here the car is bottoming out and the car is just not turning at all. And now if we do this, so 45 on the rear and 4 on the front. Okay, so now we have 45 on the rear and 5 on the front. Now I'm gonna show you an example of that. So now we head on to Rouge, and as you can see, the car is very snappy, so it's undrivable. You don't want to do that. And right there you have to find a good sweet spot for that. So for this track I would recommend to run like 20 and 10 which means the car is a bit more snappy on the front than on the rear. Front is more gripping up than rear, and this will give you a bit more rotation. But you have to play around with it. But I can tell you, it's not good to run 45 or 75 on the front. And now we have the last option, dampers. I usually stop after changing bump rubber gap, but you can go like low speed, rebound damping, 1-up or something like that. Right here you have to play around with it. I can't tell you that much about it, because I really stopped after doing this one to chassis. This one doesn't bring that much of time. Yeah, so that was all I can tell you about. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I would be delighted if you do that. And I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.